Juliana Sanchez is a widow with 2 children and a mortgage. Her parents, Richard and Frances, were both educators. Like her family, Juliana's devoted her life to giving her daughter, Jessica, and son, Adam, a good education. Every morning, she's up before the sun.
I work in a school for at-risk kids.
Good morning. How are you?
A lot of the families here go through extreme financial hardships.
It's about time we see you. Are you gonna stay?
At the end of the school day, her work is only half done.
Come on, baby. Jump in.
She works for a healthcare company taking care of Shelley, a 7-year-old with special needs.
Most of us that are educators, we all have second jobs.
The answer lies in your hands. Effective teaching starts here.
And to advance herself and develop her skills, she takes teacher training classes.
Financially, the pressure is just to keep your head above water so you don't feel like you're drowning all the time. Healthcare, food, electric, gas, it takes out so much out of my paycheck. You go buy a gallon of milk and you're like going, okay, is it a gallon or a half gallon? What can I afford? You feel like you can't breathe even though you need to breathe.
Every parent in America wants the same thing: a good education for their child. Responsibility for our children's success doesn't start in Washington. It starts in our homes. No education policy can replace a parent who's involved in their child's education from day one, who makes sure their children are in school on time, helps them with their homework, and attends those parent-teacher conferences. No government program can turn off the TV set, or put away the video games, or read to your children. My father, I only met him once for a month when I was 10. I probably was shaped more by his absence than his presence. My mother, she said to herself, my son, he's an American and he needs to understand what that means. And she was working full time, so she'd wake me up at 4:30 in the morning. We'd sit there and go through my lessons, and I used to complain and grumble. You can imagine an 8-year-old kid having to wake up at 4:30, and if I grumbled, she'd say, well, this is no picnic for me either, Buster.
Now is not the time for small plans. Now is the time to finally meet our moral obligation to provide every child a world-class education. I'll invest in early childhood education. I'll recruit an army of new teachers and pay them higher salaries and give them more support. And in exchange, I'll ask for higher standards and more accountability.
We can create schools that work, because I've seen them. 3 years ago, only half the high school seniors at the Mapleton School in Thornton, Colorado were accepted to college. But after a rigorous school reform program, this year all 44 seniors were accepted. And under my education plan, those students could get a tax credit to cover their tuition at public colleges and universities in exchange for serving their community or their country. Just as I believe every American should have access to an affordable college education, I also believe every American has a right to affordable health care. In the last year, I've visited many hospitals that are computerizing records and implementing technology that improves patient care and dramatically reduces costs. That's why my health care plan includes improving information technology, requires coverage for preventive care and pre-existing conditions, and lowers health care costs for the typical family by $2,500 a year. And you can keep your same coverage and your same doctor. My mom passing away was one of the toughest moments in my life. For her to die of cancer so quickly was a shock, and it felt arbitrary. Anybody who's gone through that kind of process, knows how difficult it is and heartbreaking it is to see somebody you love go on that path, and it's a lonely path. It was a reminder to me that, boy, life sure is short, and you better seize the moment.
I stand before you today to announce my candidacy for President of the United States of America. I'm in this race because I'm tired of talking about the outrage of 47 million people without health insurance. I want to start doing something about it. My mother never saw her grandchildren. That breaks my heart. But you know what also broke my heart? In the last months of her life, she wasn't just thinking about trying to get well, she was spending time reading insurance forms because she had just gotten a new job and the insurance companies were saying maybe there's a pre-existing condition and we don't have to pay your medical bills. So I know what it's like to see a loved one suffer, not just because they're sick, but because of a broken healthcare system. And it's wrong.
He's a lot like his mom. His girls are the only thing that can break him down. He tries to make it a point to have the thing that he does with each of them. And for Malia, it was reading through every single Harry Potter book, and they got through all of them. And that is just so fun to watch, and it's amazing that he doesn't forget anything. And he calls them every night, and he talks for as long as they need to talk. He just always has time for them.
It is that fundamental belief, I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper, that makes this country work.
Starting at that speech at the Democratic Convention in Boston and ever since, people have noticed that there's a quality in Barack Obama they just don't see in other candidates.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America.
Here's a person who, as a state legislator, was a clear leader in Springfield on so many important issues that really made a difference. Came to Washington, had an impact as soon as he arrived.
He's changed the rules in Washington. Gone are the free gifts from lobbyists, gone are the fancy airplane rides for nothing. He did that. Now, it wasn't easy. He had to work across party lines. More importantly, he had to fight senior members of the Senate who liked it just fine the way it was.
He came in, not only reached out, but reached across the aisle to Dick Lugar, one of the leading guys in America for the past 20 years on arms control, to keep loose nukes out of the hands of terrorists. I was amazed. I watched him incisively question the Secretary of State in a nomination process. I remember literally turning to Chris Dodd saying, whoa, this guy's good.
Joe Biden, I think, is one of the finest public servants in this country. It's not just that he has some of the best foreign policy credentials of anybody, but it's also that his entire life, he has never forgotten where he came from. Coming from Scranton, fighting on behalf of working families, remembering what it's like to see his father lose his job and go through a downward spiral economically. He shares my core values and my sense of where the country needs to go.